Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, and thank you for your comments. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So I'm asking a controversial question, I think, and that is, should America be afraid of Islam? We see so much going on now with the Muslims, the Somalis, now with the Afghanis, people from other parts of the world who are not Christians. And it just seems like things are tamping up a bit. And I see a lot of criticism coming from different Americans. I remember a few years ago when white people were talking about Sharia law, Sharia law. They didn't want Sharia law in the United States. And I thought they were just overdoing it. I thought they were overdoing it. Well, it seems like they weren't overdoing it. It seems like those people are piling into the United States and they are all talking about Islam being in every house. And there are some disturbing videos coming out about that religion. Now, we know that some of these people are extremists. They are extremists. But how many extremists does it take to disrupt a country? So I'm gonna let you listen to some videos, and then I want you to tell me what you think.
So I'm not really a fan of this. It seems more like assertion compared to assimilation. Western civilization in many aspects is actually in a fight for its own existence. And many of the things that made Western civilization great are currently under attack. But the reason I'm using this as an example is because I don't feel like this is assimilation. When you have people that immigrate into a country, if you want that country to stay together and stay cohesive, those people need to assimilate into that country's culture. And in my opinion, blasting the call to prayer in public spaces is not a sign of assimilation, it's more a sign of assertion. And that call to prayer is in Arabic, and it's declaring a specific religion's creed. Allah is the greatest, Muhammad is his messenger. It's not just like a neutral sound of bells or chimes. And it's broadcasted into a public space, which forces everybody in that community to hear it, whether they want to or not. And I do not think our society should be.
Now, the pushback that you would get on an argument like this is that in the Constitution of the United States of America, in the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, you have freedom of religion. Because when the settlers came to the United States, some might call them invaders, they were coming because of religious freedom. They were being persecuted in Europe. So they came to the United States so they would have freedom of religion. So now that another religion is coming here and we are critiquing them, we can critique them and expect them to assimilate into what? Christianity, when America says that you don't have to do that. We have freedom of religion. So see, it will become a constitutional issue.
And I'm saying this because a lot of people want to allow mass migration into this country, but they don't want to have any requirements for assimilation. And I 100% think that we should start thinking about assimilation. If people do not want to assimilate into our society properly, maybe we should not allow them to be here. So if we're accepting a bunch of asylum seekers from countries that have different traditions than we do and a radically different way of life than we do, there should over time be assimilation requirements. I don't think we should be assimilating to what they do. They should be assimilating to what we do.
I absolutely agree with that. But the question is, how do you make that happen when you have it in your Constitution that you have freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of this, that, and third? So you can't say that your Constitution gives people freedom of religion and then turn around and tell them that they've got to convert to your religion in order to be welcomed into the country. That would be a contradiction.
And I think this is one of the most underrated things that people don't talk about a lot. But I think it's one of the most important things for a country to stay cohesive if they're allowing many asylum seekers and immigrants into their.
This guy is a conservative, and I don't agree with a lot of the things that he says, but I do agree with what he's saying in this particular instance. And listen to this video because this is very telling.
And that's why Muslims are moving to Christian countries.
Yeah.
Because they keep complaining. Muslims hate Christianity and they hate the Bible and they hate Jesus. But for some reason, they never move to a Muslim country. There's 50 Muslim countries with Muslim rulership, but they never migrate there. They always migrate to a Christian country. So they love the fruit of Christianity, but they hate Christianity. They love the blessing of the God of the Bible, but they hate the God of the Bible. And this is why you see them, millions of them are flooding to Europe, to America, to Australia. Why? Psalm 33, blessed is a nation whose God is the Lord.
Amen.
If your God is real, then your nation will be blessed. But for some reason, only the Christian countries are blessed, and the Muslim countries are cursed. They're poor, they have dictators, so it's fascinating how Muslims never move to Muslim countries.
A lot of those Middle Eastern countries, African countries where they are Muslims, the Somalis, that's a Muslim country. Sudan, a Muslim country. All they have is heartache and terror in some of those countries. And the Arabs, those Muslims, began enslaving Africans before the Europeans. But the people who were enslaved by the Europeans have fared better than the ones that were enslaved by the Muslims. You don't want to go through a pick a slave master game, but that's the reality of it. So I think that this is something that Americans should think about. Now, I don't believe that you force somebody to convert to Christianity, but I do believe you vet people and you know what they're and let them know what the expectations are. And I think people should come here on a temporary basis. Now, I have said this before. I don't think you let them pile in here, give them citizenship, and then have to deal with them the way the Europeans are doing. And I mentioned this in another video. There are European countries that used to welcome immigrants from Africa and the Middle East, and now they have kicked them all out. They have like a 0% immigrant population in some of those countries because those people have come in and tried to destroy their countries with their ideology and their cultures. They don't try to assimilate. They isolate themselves and try to change the culture. Now, that's what some of the countries in Europe have complained about. And I think that, that's something to be considered. But I want you to let me know what you think about this. Do you think this is a religion that we should be afraid of or should be welcoming? Let them know what the expectations are, give them a temporary visa status, and when they become a problem, just deport them. I mean, what would be the solution? I want to do what's fair, but you have to look out for yourself too. So let me know what you think and have a good evening.